Hello and welcome to a fun and informative look at your FlickBack year. FlickBacks has assembled for you a variety of some of the finest film footage from your year and crafted some vivid memories of what happened when. News, sports, movies, fashion, people, politics, and the theater. FlickBacks has it all. Join us now for a stroll down memory lane and see a selection of what occurred in your favorite year, 1978. Make yourself comfortable and prepare to recall real events, film, and stories of the good old days.
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
I return tonight to fulfill one of those duties of the Constitution, to give to the Congress and to the nation information on the state of the Union. Militarily, politically, economically, and in spirit, the state of our Union is sound. For the first time in a generation, we are not haunted by a major international crisis or by domestic turmoil. And we now have a rare and a priceless opportunity to address persistent problems and burdens which come to us as a nation quietly and steadily getting worse over the years. As President, I've had to ask you, the members of Congress, and you, the American people, to come to grips with some of the most difficult and hard questions facing our society. We must make a maximum effort because if we do not aim for the best, we are very likely to achieve little. We, here in Washington, must move away from crisis management, and we must establish clear goals for the future, immediate and the distant future, which will let us work together and not in conflict. Never again should we neglect a growing crisis like the shortage of energy, where further delay will only lead to more harsh and painful solutions. Every day we spend more than $120 million for foreign oil. This slows our economic growth. It lowers the value of the dollar overseas, and it aggravates unemployment and inflation here at home. Now, we know what we must do: increase production, we must cut down on waste, and we must use more of those fuels which are plentiful and more permanent. Not much longer can we tolerate this stalemate. It undermines our national interests both at home and abroad. We must succeed, and I believe we will. Our main task at home this year, with energy a central element, is the nation's economy. We must continue the recovery and further cut unemployment and inflation. Our trade deficit is too large. Inflation is still too high. And too many Americans still do not have a job. A major priority for our nation is the final elimination of the barriers that restrict the opportunities available to women and also to black people and Hispanics and other minorities. We've come a long way toward that goal, but there's still much to do. What we inherited from the past must not be permitted to shackle us in the future. Our stand for peace is suspect if we are also the principal arms merchant of the world. So we've decided to cut down our arms transfers abroad on a year-by-year basis and to work with other major arms exporters to encourage their similar constraint. We come together tonight at a solemn time Last week, the Senate lost a good and honest man, Lee Metcalf of Montana. And today, the flag of the United States flew at half-mast from this Capitol and from American installations and ships all over the world in mourning for Senator Hubert Humphrey, because he exemplified so well the joy and the zest of living. His death reminds us not so much of our own mortality, but of the possibilities offered to us by life. To use the words of Senator Humphrey, is, quote, reconciliation, rebuilding, and rebirth, unquote. Reconciliation reconciliation of private needs and interests into a higher purpose, rebuilding the old dreams of justice and liberty and country and community, rebirth of our faith in the common good. Each of us here tonight, and all who are listening in your homes, must rededicate ourselves to serving the common good. We are a community, a beloved community. All of us, our individual fates are linked, our futures intertwined. And if we act in that knowledge and in that spirit, together, as the Bible says, we can move mountains. Thank you very much.
Every car engine has an enemy, dirt.
If I have my way, this engine could stall. I won't give it a little. I'll give it my all. I'll glove it and cook it with sludge and with grime. What I'll do to this engine's worse than a crime. Yes, engines are what I love the most. That's why they call me Mr. Dirt.
But dirt has an enemy, Mobil detergent gasoline. Mobil hates dirt.
Disco dominates 1978, and the album for the movie Saturday Night Fever establishes itself as the #1 best-selling soundtrack of all time. Stayin' Alive and several other songs by the Bee Gees dominate the charts throughout the year. Fever star John Travolta returns in the musical film Grease alongside Olivia Newton-John, and that film's soundtrack spawns several hits as well, including You're the One That I Want. Queen of the Disco Donna Summer keeps her hot streak going with the single Last Dance and MacArthur Park. And the ultra-smooth group Chic, brainchild of Nile Rodgers and Bernard Edwards, create a sensation with Le Freak. Macho Man by the Costume Village people sums up the fun-loving disco era as well as any song. Even Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones take a bite of the disco mirror ball with their LP, Some Girls. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers released their second album of well-crafted rock tunes, earning their first gold record. Bruce Springsteen promotes his fourth album, Darkness at the Edge of Town, with long, exhausting live performances which create an intensely loyal Boss fan base. The immensely popular Eagles continue to get a lot of mileage out of their year-old Hotel California LP. The group develops a harder sound when guitarist Joe Walsh joins their lineup. Bob Seger and his Silver Bullets band release Stranger in Town, an LP which yields several big hits including Old Time Rock and Roll. Debut records from the Cars and Toto introduce both groups with a splash. While Dog and Butterfly from Heart solidifies the hard-rocking reputation of Wilson sisters Ann and Nancy. Speaking of hard rock, Australia's AC/DC, fronted by brothers Angus and Malcolm Young, become stadium sensations in America. They are already international favorites thanks to their electrifying live show. America's own brother band, Van Halen, make their recording debut. The single Running with the Devil provides them with their signature song. New wave English rocker Elvis Costello unveils his second LP, this year's model, to critical acclaim. Innovator and Genesis alumni Peter Gabriel has a new record, while the debut effort from the Police, Outlandos de Amor, sees the light of day. The first single from the Sting's band gets off to a slow start, but radio airplay makes Roxanne a favorite and turns the Police LP platinum. Steely Dan's Walter Beck and Donald Fagen continue to tinker with their sound, defining progressive rock. Defying easy description, Funkadelic's style is as fluid as the band's personnel. Their propulsive musical mix might be called funk and soul. On the easy listening side, tunesmith Barry Manilow's Even Now LP yields multiple hits, including Copacabana, while the legend of Barbra Streisand is burned by the platinum LP Songbird.
At Goodwill Industries, a handicapped man could learn how to reupholster chairs on a chair like that.
Hit it!
On that TV, we could show him how to fix TVs. And as he learns how to make things like these useful again, he could learn how to make himself useful again. We repair furniture, clothing, appliances, and people.
Mr. Pendleton, you know where you are, don't you? I want you to look at me and listen very carefully to what I'm saying. Yeah? This is not a dream.
You trying to tell me I'm not supposed to be here?
But you are here.
Well, you guys made a mistake.
There is no mistake.
Well, anybody can make a mistake.
I want to check out on Joseph Pendleton. When is he due to arrive?
Pendleton Joseph, due to arrive 10:17 a.m., March 20th of the year 2025.
Hey, so he jumped the gun. Anybody could have done that. Just put me back where you found me.
Joe, we can't put you into another man's body.
Are you kidding? You're gonna put me into the body of another man? Hey, it's me.
Inwardly, you haven't changed. You're still Joe Pendleton. That's what you and I see. But outwardly, you're Leo Farnsworth, and that's what everyone else will see.
Mr. Farnsworth.
That works. Of course.
What in God's name's that?
Max, I'm not Farnsworth. I'm Joe Pendleton. Farnsworth was murdered by his wife and his private secretary. This is just a body they found for me. Don't you understand? They drugged him, they stuck him in a bathtub, and then I stepped in.
Darling, listen to me. There is nothing to be frightened of. There's plenty to be worried about, but there is nothing to be frightened of.
I'm not really Leo Farnsworth.
What?
You want to know the only thing I'm afraid of? How I'd feel if I couldn't be with you.
Then there's nothing to be afraid of, is there?
I'm sorry, Mr. Pendleton. I'm afraid you won't be able to use Mr. Farnsworth's body any longer.
How can you expect me to give up Farnsworth now?
You yourself asked for a temporary arrangement.
She loves me, Mr. Jordan.
Why are you looking at me like that?
Just memorizing your face. I want to memorize everything about you, so no matter what happens, I won't forget you.
What's going to happen?
Warren Beatty, Julie Christie, James Mason, Charles Grodin, Diane Cannon, Buck Henry, Vincent Gardenia, Jack Warden. Heaven can wait.
The 49th All-Star Game is underway in San Diego Stadium. For the National League, Vida Blue of the San Francisco Giants is on the mound. The first pitcher ever to start for both the American and National Leagues in the Summer Classic. Leading off is Rod Carew of the Minnesota Twins. Carew remembers well Blue's days with the Oakland A's. He especially remembers his rising fastball. With cool patience, he waits until the precise moment. It's a leadoff triple for baseball's best hitter. Now, Blue faces George Brett of the Kansas City Royals. Britt goes to the opposite field to drive in the game's first run. Vida's still in the jam, but St. Louis catcher Ted Simmons comes to the rescue.
On the mound, Jim Palmer.
Pitching for the American League is Baltimore's Jim Palmer, making his 5th All-Star appearance. With 1 out, Palmer catches Joe Morgan flat-footed.
Like 3.
With the first inning over, the American League leads 2-0. George Brett collects his second RBI as Carew scores his second run. Now leading 3-0. With Palmer pitching well, the American League is confident this just might be the year to turn things around. But in the bottom of the 3rd, things begin to happen. Philadelphia's Larry Boa starts it with this lazy looper.
Nice little Texas looper.
And now it's switch-hitting Pete Rose. Although Charlie Hustle becomes an out, Boa advances to 3rd. As Palmer, in a rare display of wildness, walks Morgan and Foster. Still only 1 out away from the safety of the dugout, Palmer is clearly disgusted for loading the bases. Now he must face Philadelphia powerhouse Greg Luzinski.
Ball 4.
Palmer walks his 3rd batter in a row, forcing home the National League's first run. It's now 3-1. Dodger first baseman Steve Garvey comes up in a clutch opportunity. Steve lifts his all-star average to 500, driving home Morgan and Foster. The game is even at 3 apiece. It's the 8th inning, and relief artist Bruce Sutter of the Chicago Cubs is untouchable.
Like 3.
Boston's Jim Rice strikes out. And then, with Red Sox manager Don Zimmer looking on, Sutter repeats his magic on Dwight Evans.
Like 3.
For the Goose, no easy task with Steve Garvey leading it off. It's off the wall. A 3-bagger, putting the National League's potential go-ahead run only 90 feet away. It's now Gossage against Davy Concepcion. But a wild pitch enables the National League to take the lead for the first time. Winfield responds to the cheers. The stadium erupts. The National League now seems to be moving in the right direction. Now Gossage faces San Diego native Bob Boone. Concepcion and Winfield score. The tensions of a tight game are broken as Boone shares a laugh with his first base coach. The home team now has a 3-run lead. Kansas City's Darrell Porter pops up. And the National League is victorious, 7-3. And so this Festival of Stars, this Midsummer Classic of the American game was over for another season.
I'm Jimmy the Greek, and if you're shaving with Edge, you're a winner. Based on men who made a choice, my odds are 5-2 you shave closer with Edge gel than with any plain foam going. Why? Gel makes the difference. Gel lubricates first, then turns to foam. You shave really close because there's much less gamble on nicks and cuts. Long shots are fun in sports, but for a close shave, go with my favorite, Edge.
On the South Shore, Scituate was one of the hardest hit communities. Some homes believed worth $150,000 each were swept into the sea Monday night. Houses on the Minot Light area, a good 200 feet from the ocean, were heavily damaged. Those closer to the shore didn't stand a chance. One rescue boat capsized, spilling 5 people into the water. One young girl drowned. The others survived. The hurricane-force winds and monstrous tides ripped a 40-foot Coast Guard boat from its moorings in Scituate Harbor, slamming it into a waterfront restaurant. Claire Young and Marie Jennings succumbed to carbon monoxide poisoning about a day ago. The snow had drifted up to the roof of their car.
Braving the high winds and snow required every ounce of concentration and stamina that this group could muster. Today's evacuation was made simpler by sunny skies, a relatively warm day, and the lack of wind. With the passing of the storm, many who wouldn't leave before changed their minds. They realized that it would be quite a while before they'd be stepping on dry ground again. The Daisy's crew, fatigued and tired to the bone, still manages to go about their work with a great sense of humor. As soon as we finished this run, the crew was called to another area to continue its rescue operations. Weary and hungry, they add that they won't leave Revere until the job is done and everyone is safe, warm, and dry.
Watch what happens when a pair of railroad engines weighing about 130 tons apiece crunch a Deluxe Champion 78, the new tire developed by Firestone for the 1970 cars. The double-belted 78 comes through without a scratch. It's how you build a tire that makes it strong. That's Firestone's exclusive triple-strength construction. The way we bond tread to body, reinforce sidewalls, and insulate every cord. The 78 at Firestone dealers and stores.
This is 15 rounds of boxing for the heavyweight championship of the world.
Coming up like that we've seen from Ali, he was really taking surprisingly amount of punches. Yes, got through there with a bit of painful stuff to remind Leon Spinks he was still the boss. So there it is, the 15th final round.
decision.
It's a split decision.
The new heavyweight champion of the world, Leon Spinks.
One of the greatest upsets in the history of the heavyweight championship. Leon Spinks.
Today, a girl can share a lot of things with a guy. Here's one. Vitalis Dry Control. A man's hairspray. Dry Control doesn't leave your hair brittle and lacquered looking. It was made to leave hair with that full, thick, natural look. So come on, girls. Pick up some Vitalis Dry Control. Nice game, Bob.
It's not just for men. Come on, girls.
1978 marks a milestone in automobile manufacturing as Germany's Volkswagen becomes the first European company to make cars in the U.S. Known abroad as the Golf, the new models coming from Pennsylvania will be sold to Americans as the Rabbit. Since the oil crisis of 1973, Americans have been increasingly receptive to the smaller, more fuel-efficient offerings of car makers like Volkswagen and Japanese brands like the popular Toyota Corolla and the Honda Civic. New and intriguing to American buyers is the rotary engine Mazda's RX-7 sports car. Datsun's sporty 280Z captures headlines and the imaginations of drivers as well. AMC was first to respond to the challenge posed by foreign automakers with its popular hatchback subcompact Gremlin, launched in the opening years of the decade and then with the Hornet. They rounded out their small car line with another compact hatchback, the Pacer, introduced in the middle of the decade. The largest remaining AMC passenger car, the mid-size Matador, sees the final model year in 1978. The other Detroit companies first sought to answer the competition with the subcompact models like Ford's Pinto and Chevrolet's defunct Vega. But these proved less than overwhelming successes, especially the Pinto, which became embroiled in lawsuits and exploding gas tanks shortly after its 1971 induction. Smarting from the false starts and sensitive to charges that their cars are oversized and gas guzzlers, Ford, GM, and Chrysler continue to pare down the sizes of their large models to appeal to the economically minded consumer. GM's Buick line is typical with its mid-size Century Series downsizing while introducing sporty new looks and retaining interior room. The big three take a back seat to nobody when it comes to muscle cars, which stage a comeback toward the end of the decade. Ford's Mustang remains a storybook success, and the limited edition Shelby-inspired V8 King Cobra is introduced in 1978. And of course, American trucks, RVs, and pickups remain popular choices.
I was working the day watch out of traffic control when I spotted a speeding car. I hit my lights and followed. The suspect spotted me and U-turned. I spun around and continued the chase. The suspect tried to escape by jumping a bridge. I closed in. I quickly passed the suspect and cut him off.
Okay, buddy, let's see your license.
Matchbox Speed Track Race and Chase, the only slot car set that U-turns.
One shot is what it's all about. Deer has to be taken with one shot.
Blessed is the kingdom of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
You gotta listen to me. You want to stay down here and die? to say how sorry I am about Nick. And how I know how much you loved him, and I know that it'll never be the same. How do I know you know where he is? Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. What's the matter with you? Don't you recognize me?
But now at age 32, newfound power merged with speed. When Lopes launched his second home run of Game 1, he proved that sometimes he was not only the Dodger ignition, but the accelerator as well. Tiring, John got a 3-1 pitch up and out, way up. The blow's distance more than its consequences seemed to embarrass John. But the moment belonged to Reggie, who had now hit 6 home runs over his last 4 series games, breaking Yankee immortal Lou Gehrig's World Series record. When Tommy John weakened, another Port-Sider, flame-throwing reliever Terry Forster, came in to strike out 3 of the 5 hitters he faced. He ended it with back-to-back whips of Paul Blair and then Roy White. With an 11-5 victory, Tommy Lasorda was exuberant. His Dodgers now led 1-0. Remembrance of things past. The Penguin swallows the catfish once again. With this 3-run shot and an earlier single in the 4th, Say knocked in all 4 Dodger runs. Hunter pitched well, but tonight Say owns Hunter, and seemingly that's enough. Now it's the 9th inning, and Bucky Dent opens with a single. But Dodger fans seem unfazed. Enter wunderkind Bob Welch to center stage. A 21-year-old flamethrower just 1 year off the college campus. Reggie Jackson digs in. A classic 9th inning confrontation. Bucky Dent poised at second. Paul Blair at first. 2 out. Mr. Cool, the kid with only half a season in the majors, against Mr. October, a 12-year veteran. Pitches, 4 foul balls, 6 minutes of classic nail-biting drama. Strike 3. The Dodgers win 4-3.
All have a good day. Something good is going to happen to you.
When the dangerous Reggie Smith came to bat in the 5th, with Lopes on first and catcher Steve Yeager camped at second, Lasorda sounded like a prophet. A beleaguered Ed Figueroa might even say clairvoyant. Once Smith ripped in for a home run and a 3-0 Dodger lead. Then Reggie Jackson stepped in. Jackson had planted a Tommy John fastball over 400 feet in Game 1. This time, he stroked a clean single to right. A determined Roy White scored, and the Yankees were on their way back. The stage is set for the biggest play of the series. Russell drops the line drive, gets the course at second, but hits Jackson with a relay to first, and Munson scores from second base. One of the game's best pure hitters waits. White tenses. Vanilla clubs a high fastball. Roy White scores the gamer, and the Yankees win 4-3. The former Dartmouth basketball star had come far since that tear-filled June day when he lost to the Red Sox and was shipped to the minors. When he grabbed Bill Russell's comebacker to end Game 5, he had pitched his first complete Major League game ever and sent his team back to Dodger Stadium with a 3-2 series lead. Mirror, mirror on the wall, which star glitters brightest of them all? Is it Reggie Jackson who got sweet revenge against Bob Welch by pulverizing a fastball to close out the Yankees' 7-2 win? Granted, Mr. October lived up to his name, but in this 75th anniversary of the World Series, there were other stars who glittered brightly as well. Captain Davy Lopes bedeviled the Yankees with his newfound power stroke. Other Dodgers also sparkled, most notably Ron Say, whose defensive gems and timely swings gave the Dodgers an early edge. But once again, the Yankee stars eclipsed the Dodger victory hopes. Sparked by the play of Greg Nettles at third, the 78 Yankee mirror caught the light of other heroes. Resilient Goose Gossage pitched shutout ball while stifling the Dodgers 3 separate times. Catfish Hunter pitched like the living embodiment of Yankee resurgence. Thurman Munson used his bat and his typical true grit in the field to say, "I'm still here." While a late bloomer rookie pitcher Jim Beattie announced with his right arm, "Hey, I've arrived." World Series pressure lifted Brian Doyle to a performance he understandably called the greatest experience of my life. Days earlier, when Bunky Dent inched his 3-run homer over Fenway's left field wall to win the crucial playoff game against the Red Sox, it was like an omen for this Yankee team that had scratched its way back from oblivion. A foretelling of a time when this same Bucky Dent would prophetically win the MVP award in this, the 75th anniversary of baseball's Fall Classic.
Don't write with a peach. If you write with a peach, you'll get a very wet letter. Don't write with a prune. Words will come out wrinkled and dopey. Let's face it, the only fruit you can write with is a banana. The Bic banana, a fine line marker, not to be confused with a ballpoint. Writing a letter to your son, right? Right. Usually you write, "Dear son, how are you? I'm fine." Write that same letter with a Bic banana, and you get, "Dear Sonny, I miss your face." Mum. See what a nice letter it writes? Kisses, kisses, kisses. And it comes in colors. Most fruits only come in one color except grapes, which come in 2 colors, and of course bits and pitless. Look, if you've got to write with a fruit, write with a Bic banana. It's only 29 cents. Your best buy in writing fruit. Kisses, 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 hug. The Bic banana, a different way to write.
It's impossible to imagine a more exciting film, says Rona Barrett. Rex Reed calls it a colossal triumph. Months before its release, it stunned and overwhelmed special preview audiences. The movie is Midnight Express, rated R.
Hello and welcome to FlickBack Media and our fine lineup of retro and nostalgia products. FlickBacks has compiled a huge selection of newsreels, movie trailers, commercials, and television films from 1929 through 1979. Packaged as greeting cards with the DVD for the specific year included, these trips down memory lane make the perfect inexpensive gift card for birthdays, anniversaries, and reunions. In addition, What a Year It Was is our pictorial review of the news and events of every year from 1945 through 1967. As a coffee table book, it depicts all of the highlights of each year. As a 40th, 50th, or 60th memento, it's a special gift. As FlickBacks has been publishing books for many years, most of our older volumes are still in print and available. Check with your retailer or visit our website to determine the availability of our older book publications. We hope you enjoyed the Flickback to your special year, and we thank you for watching. Our toll-free number is 1-800-541-3533, and our website address is www.flickback.com.